Okay, well, this week we had our first episode of Off the Grid with Jesse Ventura on Ora TV, and he asked us what we thought about it, and I thought I could type up what we thought about it, but I thought it would be more interesting to do a video. He had a lot of opinions about his core beliefs in there. What I liked best about it was he said that, as Americans, our beliefs, we might not always agree with each other, and that's sort of okay. And he said, won't necessarily believe what you believe, or you won't necessarily believe what I believe, but I respect your right to believe what you believe. And I mean, as far as gay marriage, I think only a man and a woman can get married, but been thinking for a while, it's such a big issue that I think in this country we could have civil unions and people could do it in a government building, because I believe in God, and I know that things like bad experiences in life can sour you. I've certainly had my share. I didn't go to Vietnam or anything, but I've had my share of rough experiences, and I understand how that can make somebody bitter. But I believe that a marriage is something sacred between a man and a woman, and if he feels like people should be respected to have the rights to go visit their friend in the hospital or whatever, then that should be abridged in a civil union. And but I drew up a map on here as far as the problems we have in this country. Seasons 1 and 2 did a good job of addressing that on conspiracy theory, and by season 3 a lot of his opinions got bent. And I think it's good to have a show like Ora TV versus RT. So many times we see people in the country that don't agree with the United States wind up on Russian TV, which is based in the Kremlin. So you have the same left and right paradigm that Jesse Ventura is talking about with the Democrats and the Republicans, with Russian TV and the 6 mainstream media corporations that run the media in the United States. So I think it's good to have a platform, and I could see that he's going to have a different platform. He wants more of a pirate radio platform where he has free speech. And I pulled up just a quick map of the red zone in Baltimore. A lot of people don't understand what I'm talking about. All these buildings here are these are vacant houses in Baltimore City, and you can go to any big city like Detroit or Los Angeles or Miami, and you will see tens of thousands of vacant houses. And I feel it's almost like looking at a map of 1950s or 1960s Soviet socialist or communist countries infiltrating, the satellite countries, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Slovenia, all these countries, and then down into Eastern Asia like Korea and Vietnam. So I feel like it's my personal opinion that these trends of vacant houses in the United States need to be addressed, because when you look at the general map and you drive through these neighborhoods, large parts of America look like a giant ghetto, like like you saw in Nazi Germany before World War II. So I feel like that needs to be addressed, and I'm certainly going to be working here. We got some looping backgrounds I talked to caliber hitters about, and I would like to see more people in the independent media doing broadcasts talking about the issues and the solutions in this country, because I hear a lot of, especially on Russian TV, what's wrong with America, people bashing Obama, who I consider him the pretender and thief, the occupier. He's not really the president of anything other than the corporate criminal enterprise of D.C., which is not part of the United States, according to the Organic Act of 1871. It sounds like a lot of crazy ramblings, but you have to do the research yourself, and to see that the United States government is not part of the United States. It's separate. It's outside of the United States, and it's basically a parasite that's just there to tax people and try to control their lives. And I feel like I have a lot of health issues myself, but I feel like socialist healthcare programs are not the solution. Jesse Ventura makes enough money to pay for his health insurance and a few other people, but I don't believe that somebody else should have to pay for my health insurance. It would be nice if we had broader manufacturing as far as the red zone that I was talking about. When we had car manufacturing plants in the United States and we made cars and other things, people were happy to work, but now that people don't have jobs, they just sit around in the ghettos and get high all day. We have to do something to foster independence from these people in society who are dependent, and I feel like giving them something to do, although people are resentful about that now. As a country and our education system, we have to foster a sentiment of people wanting to do for themselves. And even with the baby boomer generation, there's a lot of people who have a resentment about taking care of business. And we have to get in the order of this country of fixing up our affairs independently and as a country. These sick parts of our nation that are festering eyesore on society. And unfortunately, Jesse's got enough money to leave the country, but I think that's probably a healthy psychological solution for a lot of us. Probably would be just to leave the country. And it sounds like I'm snubbing him, but I'm not. It'd be nice if I could afford to leave the country. And I know a lot of my friends, like Eddie and D Wayne, they would like to leave the country too. And if we could, a bunch of us would probably leave and move into a community somewhere in South America or the Philippines as a group, because we're just sick of it. If you live in the city, you can move out to the county. There was an article recently that 70% of Americans are addicted to some form of opiates like Percocets, and the old statistic is out that we consume 80% of the world's prescription drugs, but I believe that that's a small portion of society, probably a lot less than 25% are consuming everybody else's prescriptions, because there's a big business of buying prescriptions in the big cities. People buy other people's prescriptions and then take these prescription opiates to get high, and it's unfortunate. I wish the government would do a lot more to that, but people have to have freedom of choice. But when the Constitution says something about fostering a sense of responsibility and brotherhood for the well-being and the health of the country, and are we really doing that? I realize you can't force people to be healthy and live a good lifestyle, but it seems like the government should be doing more, and it's more like times that they're doing things that hurt the country. I mean, Jesse Ventura's touched on things like the FEMA camps. Recently, the Catholic Review in Baltimore had an article that, and my family member found it because I've been talking about him for years, about how, this was an article in the Catholic Review, about how the United States government is still maintaining prisoner of war camps from 1942 for the Japanese, and the question is, why do we need these camps? And oftentimes, too many. We have, I would say, about half of the military budget is wasteful things that we don't need, don't benefit anybody, and we have projects like the 7th Fleet that are low to maintain and cost effective, and just sit around and get mothballed and rot to rust. And it defies reason or logic. And I'm sure if you ask people in the Pentagon, and they would agree. And then some people would say, well, you have to have this budget and you have to use it, or else you lose it the next year. And I really wish we had some financial discipline in this country as far as making a military budget and cutting out the waste, so that we could have a more efficient military. The veterans would get benefits that they need, and the projects that are wasteful and go to help line the pockets of military industrial complex, corporatism, and looting should be reined in. It's fantastic that we have these military satellites and these little missiles that can shoot around in the air and do all kinds of crazy stuff and hit a target the size of a postage stamp from 90 miles away. But is that the military, is that the responsibility that we give to the rest of the world in the United States, that the government can press a button and you get killed anywhere you are, rather than putting a face on America like we did in the 40s, and showing that we can be human beings in warfare, take care of people who are sick or injured, and do the right thing, and sometimes it's not always right. Sometimes it's not always possible, but it's more and more we're becoming like that part of that communist plan in the 50s or even earlier to just destroy the United States from social rot from within. And I think we owe it as Americans to look back on our heritage and realize that we could be better than that we could take care of ourselves with dignity, and we don't need leaders who are going to lie to us 15 times out of 17 when it comes to being responsible. We don't need a federal government that's going to pimp slap us and tell us we need to buy programs when we can take care of ourselves, or when we need to act like responsible adults and stand responsible for the decisions we made when we made bad decisions. So that's just my opinion on Off the Grid. I know it's a lot of stuff there. I think it's good that Mr. Ventura is trying to speak his mind about social issues in this country. I think it's good that he is avoiding this RT platform. I am so sick of seeing people on Russian TV, and I think it's great that he has his own opinion, and it's a great American heritage that he respects and listens to other people's opinions, and I look forward to that show. And I know his friends behind the scene have an opinion about what's going on. It would be fantastic to hear them speak, and other people around the country.